Hello and welcome back to our Forge modding tutorial series. And today we are going to take a look into item groups, formerly known as creative tabs. And first of all, we want to make a intermediate class that handles all the stuff we want to change, so the settings of the certain creative tab. And then we will make an initialization clause that actually initializes all creative tabs that we want. And in the end, we will put in a language key so that we'll get a localization for it. So let's start. Let's make a intermediate class. For that, I will make a new package. Do how you like it. I would certainly recommend you to do the same. I call it no. That's not how it works. Rename and get rid of the int. So item group, and there I will make a new class. I just call that basic item group. I think this will it will be a class that you will instantiate if you make a new item group. And why we need that class, I will just tell you that, because if we extend item group, you'll see this is an abstract class. So see, it is abstract, so you need to implement a certain method. And this, first of all, you need to implement the constructor. Don't use that with the index, just use it with a label, and then you need to add an unimplemented method, and that is item stack. So first of all, we will pass on the label onto the parent constructor. Pretty normal stuff you do in OP. But now we have a problem. We need to override this method, and to avoid deadlocks. So what a deadlock is pretty much you have a variable a, and to initialize that variable you need to initialize something else that is referring to this address, so to the variable you just wanted to initialize, and that creates a lock because they are referencing each other at the same time, and that won't work. This is a so-called deadlock. Might be worth to make another video on that, but that's in short what the problem is. And to avoid the problem, we will make a supplier that is a lambda function. So it is a functional interface to put in a function into the constructor, which is executed or invoked at some point in time, and then it will create it later on. So you don't have to. So it does not have to be initialized at that point. So this function will only be loaded if the create icon function is called. And to do that, we will save. So we make a new attribute or variable in the class, and I make that private because we only need it in class. Private final supplier. It is final because should be util function, and we will supply a item provider. Is that item provider? So basically an item of some sort, and I call it supplier and so that is initialized. We need to initialize it so you can initialize final variables in your constructor. That is totally okay to do so, and for this we will just do that. So we'll put in the supplier from the constructor and then put it into this attribute, make that private final supplier. There we go. And now we need to make the label here, right? So we want to have our mod ID in front of it, so tutorial mod plus, and then there is the resource identifier, that is the double point or double dot, whatever it's called, and there is, yeah, that's better to identify your specific tab. If you have, for example, two item groups with the same name, this will override language keys or it will crash or something. So just put in your mod ID there so that it is a unique identifier. And to actually, we need to return an item stack here, and for that we make a new item stack and we need to put in an item provider. And for that we will call our supplier. So now we will call the supplier function that we put in up there. This is part of functional programming. I don't get into the history and function of functional programming, but this is how it works. So we don't know what is in that function, but we know what its inputs and outputs are. And yeah, we can put in a function here. This will be executed down there, and it won't create a deadlock basically. So, and after we finish that, we make a initialization class tutorial mod item groups. There we go. And there we will initialize public static final. We'll do that final too because we don't want it to be overridden, because there is only one object. Basically those are singletons, but no, they're not singletons but they're like, you only get a single object and this will create a new tab. So no, it's not like a singleton. Not at all. Just forget what I just said. Bullshit. So it is of the type basic item group, and we call that group, I don't know, something like that. You can call it like you want, and then we will instantiate that basic item group, and the label would be group, and then we can put in our supplier here. So now we make a lambda function, which is basically pretty easy. This to parentheses, what is it called? They will define the inputs. So if you got inputs, you can, yeah, they're basically written in here, but they're currently not because we don't have any inputs from the function. So, but we have an output, and that is blocks dot somewhat damaged envelope, for example. So you can return a block here, and this block will be shown up in the corner at your item group. So yeah, that is basically it. Now we need to actually make a language file that includes the item group, because otherwise there is a unlocalized name shown, and we don't want to have any unlocalized names shown. So we will make a new file. Oh no, I forgot something. We first of all need to make a package. Yeah, and that package is called, and make sure to put it under resources, assets, dot tutorial. So your mod ID tutorial mod. There we go. Dot lang that are yeah, that's basically the package where every language file should go into, or has to go into. Not should, but literally has to, must. And there we create a new JSON file, and we call that en underscore us dot lang dot JSON. They switch to JSON, so that is, yeah, it's okay. So that is cool. So keep in mind that this is language ISO code underscore I think language or dialect is it, and the ISO code of the dialect. So en underscore us means American English basically, and so forth. And you need to write it all in in lowercase. That is correct. Yeah. So this has to be a JSON in JSON format. So keep in mind you need those brackets. If you don't know how the JSON format works, you can look it up at json.org. They got a pretty good explanation with pictures and stuff like that. It's easy to understand. It is a good data format. I really emphasize people to use it. Like, it is good. You can use it. You should use it. And there we will make a key. That key is called item group dot, and then our mod ID tutorial mod is the mod ID of our mod dot group, because we called it group, and we told them that this is our mod ID in the basic item class, and we called the group no, not there, we called the group, and we told them here that to use our mod ID, and yeah, it is an item group. And now we can define a value. So this is a key value pair. This is the key. This is the unlocalized name on the left side here, and on the right side we put in the value. This is the actual shown name in game, tutorial item group. Actually, item group should be, isn't that one word? Item, no, I'll just put it that way. You can like name it what you want. So this should work fine. This is our language data basically. Yeah. Keep in mind that if you start the game, the item group won't show, because it will only show if there are items loaded in it. And this is basically, I think, what we are going to do next. So the next thing we'll do are our items, and then we'll go on with blocks. And yeah, thanks for watching. Have a nice day. See you in the next videos. Cheers.